Hello, beautiful friends, beautiful people, beautiful souls. It is Kathryn Massell, conscious creatrix, elevated consciousness coach, 5D visionary. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where, when, how you are watching. I'm going to take a sip of water before I get started. Talking about the role of the higher initiate. The role of the higher initiate. And yes, I have music on, so if you hear kind of music in the background, I'm listening to the frequency of the gods to give me some inspiration as I give this information to you. So you're not going crazy. You are hearing music in the background. And I do not own the rights to the music. This is Frequency of the Gods, 963 hertz. One of my favorite frequencies to work with. Especially when people are being initiated into higher healing or upgrading energies. So, what is the higher initiate? What is the role of the higher initiate? Maybe some of you guys are tuning in because number one, you haven't seen me in a while. Number two, that you read the words higher initiate and you felt like, I don't really know what that means. I'm interested to hear her talk about what that means. But there's something about it that resonates for me. There's something about it that it kind of like tickles my awareness a little bit and makes me either remember something as some sort of maybe ancient resonance that exists in my past. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I feel like I was an initiate of something at some point. Many of us who have incarnated in this lifetime are, especially if you feel that call to help humanity wake up. So let me talk for a minute about the attributes of the higher initiate. And, if these two words, when you hear them, higher initiate, has piqued your interest, let me kind of fill in the blanks a little bit more about what the higher initiate is. And this will probably resonate with you a little bit more. I'm definitely speaking to a pretty specific group of people here. So this is either going to resonate with you or it's not. But here are the attributes of the higher initiate. And those who feel called to either to be here, like you were selected to be here because of certain things that you have accrued as part of your pure soul wisdom over many lifetimes, or that you chose. Maybe you don't remember that because, we go into the density of 3D, we come to this time-space matrix, and we forget what we chose to do. We forget the contracts that we, negotiated on our soul's behalf, and also with other beings, entities that we have been contracted with or have been, part of a larger volunteer network, let's just say, of people who wanted to come, who've chosen to come into this lifetime to help wake humanity up. Hi, Rachel. Hello, everyone who's here. I can't see all the names. So what are the attributes? So you may recognize yourself as a higher initiate if you have this awareness, a very keen awareness. I'm talking about right now, and maybe it's been building. Maybe it's been, kind of this very comprehensive collective journey of accruing a lot of knowledge and wisdom in this lifetime alone that has kind of brought you to this level of awareness that you are definitely in this place of rapidly shifting levels of consciousness and you feel a call to advancement, okay? Maybe you're not entirely sure what that is, but you feel a call for something bigger, a nudge from spirit, if you want to call it that, to move into your next level of advancement, even if you can't put your finger on what that is, okay? Another attribute, you're feeling challenged, but you know that you were chosen. You were selected to be here, or you chose to come here. There's just something undeniable in your energy where you just feel like, yeah, that's me. I just feel like I'm supposed to be here. Even though, and the paradox is that many of us who feel like we've chosen to be here, or we were selected to be here, we feel like we want to go home at the same time, because this 3D Earth reality is just too much. It feels like it's too overwhelming. It's too crazy. I have to take on too much. You mean I got to heal myself and all these other people too? So we feel like, even though we kind of feel the density of all this, we still at the same time have this kind of niggling feeling inside that, you know what, but I chose, or I was chosen to be here for a reason. And the reason being, in my own way, through my own kind of energetic signature and what I can offer through that, to be here to do something greater for the planet, to help humanity ascend, to help humanity evolve in some way, shape, or form. Okay? And even though you feel challenged by that, you know you were chosen, you were selected for something that is bigger than you, that whatever you were chosen for to be here is this higher initiate of spiritual mysteries, if you want to call it that. You know that you're here because all of this is bigger than you, and you're starting to realize it. Maybe it's because you're going through a certain healing trajectory, you're going through a good amount of self-healing, and you're realizing, you know what, all this stuff that held me down so long, all this stuff that triggered me, challenged me, all these issues that I've had in my life for so long, they really feel kind of trivial, because this advancement forward of all humanity that I am a part of, and maybe even leading the wave of change of, it's bigger than me. It's all bigger than me. Okay, so maybe you're coming into that realization at this shifting level of consciousness you find yourself in right now. Okay, that, you know, all of this is bigger than you. It's bigger than this wave of advancement and evolution for all of humanity. It's bigger than your problems. It's bigger than your issues. It's bigger than your triggers. It's bigger than maybe even your health problems, your chronic health conditions. Maybe it's even bigger than, you know, facing life's challenges of being human in general. Okay. So like I said, you know, I'm talking to a very specific crew of people here. There are, you know, a lot of people who are stuck in the density of their trauma, their victimhood, and I'm not negating the fact that people are experiencing suffering. That is happening. People are struggling. People are suffering. I get that. But to the degree that we are willing to be subject to that suffering, to make that suffering bigger than who we are or what we're here to do, that's not the people I'm talking to. Okay? So if you feel like you're kind of coming out of this coma of, I've been triggered by this, I've been challenged by that, this has been an issue for me forever, and I just feel like now that I'm healing it, I'm releasing it, I'm clearing it, I feel like I'm way bigger, and I was probably always bigger than any of that stuff. And now I feel free to pursue what I'm here to do. I feel free to and untethered from this past that has been holding me down in this place of struggling and suffering. Okay? This is definitely something that is a major attribute of the higher initiate, as someone who's waking up from this dream of victimhood, this dream of drama, trauma, karma, contracts of self-negation, self-denial, for maybe not just this lifetime, but many, many lifetimes. You also feel, if you are the higher initiate and you resonate with being a higher initiate of spiritual mysteries, of taking spiritual advancement forward for yourself and all of humanity, you feel a call to higher integrity of being, of spiritual values. Okay? There's a certain profound nature that you find yourself, you know, going into this kind of, this bubble of spirituality that is much bigger than the one that you felt before. It feels more advanced. It feels more expanded. It feels like you have room to wiggle in this kind of advanced or expanded bubble of higher spiritual values, higher spiritual integrity. You feel very called to, you know, leading in a higher way, being in tune with yourself, balancing your human nature and your spiritual nature in beautiful integrity, where you just feel you are in a higher spiritual level of advancement, and it feels good. It feels like not just an awakening, but an enlivening, a quickening of your spirit, of your whole human mechanism. And it feels like this call to higher integrity of being, of having higher spiritual values, is that if there's some goal or intention or focus that you have that is not in alignment with that level of integrity, it's just a hard no for you now. It's not even something you're wishy-washy about. You're just like, that's a hard no. That is out of alignment with this call to being aligned with higher spiritual values that I feel is very much a part of who I am now. And I can't separate myself from that. You are the higher initiate, okay? If you know and you keenly feel that as you move into more elevated levels of consciousness that you're helping to raise the vibration of the planet, because you are, that's a no-brainer. When we do our own healing, we do our own self-healing, we release ourselves from drama, trauma, karma, contracts of self-denial, contracts of self-negation, contracts of victimhood, contracts of self-persecution in any way, shape, or form. We are already shifting into a higher level of consciousness, and we are downloading that frequency, that wave being, to the rest of the human collective, therefore raising the entire vibration of the planet. That is in alignment with being the higher initiate. But not only that, you know you're raising the vibration of the entire planet, but that's not quite enough for you anymore. To just resign yourself to that. Not that isn't a beautiful shift that you're contributing to. It is. But if you are a higher initiate, what I'm saying is you're feeling a call to expand that even further. That's just not enough for you anymore. Like, it's great that I'm doing this job of raising the planet just by working on my own stuff, but that's not enough. I feel a call to a higher level of advancement. Again, even if you don't know what it is yet, even if you can't put your finger on it yet, and if you feel like you've been asking and asking and asking for this higher level of initiation, I will tell you in a minute why that kind of doesn't work. But you just know that just doing your work of healing yourself is, yes, it's raising the entire vibration of the planet, but it's not enough. There's more. There's more for you to do. You feel nudged towards something bigger. And here's the most important part of this. And this is what's really, I may have many people on board with what I'm saying up to this point, and this next thing that I'm saying may be the point of departure for you. And you may feel like, yeah, maybe I'm not the higher initiate after all. Or it will make you sit with and question, hey, am I this higher initiate? Do I really feel into this? Does this resonate for me, what Kathryn said in this last thing? Okay, so this is the most important thing about recognizing and resonating with being a higher initiate, okay? You recognize that assuming the role of the higher initiate, okay, basically you've ticked off the things that I've mentioned so far, and you're like, yeah, that's me, for sure. But here's the most important part, and this is what really nails this, okay, for me and probably many of you who are watching. You recognize that assuming the role of the higher initiate has an ancient resonance, a remembrance even, of your time in another life or another parallel reality, okay? Because if you ask me, I'm the timeline lady. I'm the time and timelines lady. So, we're living many, many parallel realities and multidimensional realities simultaneously, okay? So it could be that you are in another parallel reality in the now, because there is only the now, where you have this ancient resonance, though it feels like a part of your ancient past or part of your ancient memory, okay? Part of your soul's legacy of remembrance of your time in another concurrent life where you were devoted to a priesthood, a priestesshood, an initiation to a mystery school. And there are many, many mystery schools, just to name a few. There are Atlantean mystery schools, there are Lemurian mystery schools, there are Syrian mystery schools, there are Egyptian mystery schools. Many of these mystery schools, especially the way that we remember them because of this artificial machinery of false timelines, sometimes remembering mystery schools, or we're getting this knowledge trickled down into our current reality incorrectly. because of the mechanisms of false timelines. Because in truth, there are a lot of mystery schools that were not in integrity and did some pretty horrible things, actually. So not everything we know about mystery schools, and that's why they're called mystery schools, by the way, not a mistake, because you had to be initiated, you had to be a priest or a priestess that was following the dictates and, stepping up through the different levels of, spiritual stations of ascension through that knowledge of the mystery school. Not all of it was in integrity. Not all of it was divine. Not all of it was for the highest and best good of all humanity. And so where that leaves off and takes us into where we are now, trying to scratch our heads and figure out if we are the higher initiate or not. This is where it really takes the point of departure. Some of you may feel like this kind of lingering kind of hangover, an emotional imprint that was not so good about your time in a mystery school. Maybe you were being led by a higher priest, higher priestess who was out of integrity. That definitely happened in Atlantis. It was the reason for the fall of that civilization, because a lot of things started going way out of integrity. It happened in Lemuria to a certain degree. It definitely happened in Egypt. There have been so many mystery schools on this planet alone, let alone the other, multi-planetary mystery schools that exist as well. And are existing still, because time is concurrent. Everything is now. So you had this contract, this ancient resonance, let's just say, where you had a contract, you were part of this priesthood, part of a mystery school, you were an initiate before, and there was something incomplete or bogus or out of integrity, out of alignment. Maybe you're having misremembered events from that. Maybe things are cropping up in this lifetime as recurring dreams, lucid dreams that you may be having, where you're back in that mystery school and going through, the rote daily routine of being a part of that mystery school. Some events you don't remember them accurately because of false timelines, or you do remember things that had to do with people being persecuted, people being victimized in one way or another, where the whole out of integrity thing comes in. A misuse or abuse of power is common to a lot of these mystery schools. And a misuse and abuse of power by those that we were supposed to be venerating, that we were supposed to be, following in their footsteps, because they were holding the higher order and the higher, let's just say, initiation of rites. But it was way out of integrity, okay? So those of you who are resonant, and if there's anyone watching who feels the resonance of this at all, what I'm talking about, this last thing here, of having this kind of, this lingering hangover in this lifetime from experiencing anything that I just talked about, coupled with this reluctance to want to take your initiation in this lifetime further, your education, your spiritual advancement in this lifetime any further. It leaves, when you have this memory, it kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, or you're holding the emotional imprint of something that just felt wrong, and you felt it on such a cellular level, like this is just wrong, like it felt rotten inside. Some of you who are being faced with the reckoning of this actual memory coming forth of you being part of a mystery school, it's like it's happening right now. So you're having the emotional imprint of it crop up right now. It's leaving a bad taste in your mouth. It's making you remember something that was not good. It felt like wrong on a cellular level. So you feel like right now, I can't take my practice, my spiritual advancement further. I'm feeling this hangover from this, and I don't like it, and I don't want to be involved in something like that again. And I will tell you something about me specifically, because I've been obviously spending some time thinking about this, months and months, really, kind of putting this together for myself and for my own spiritual advancement, because of the things that I'm teaching now. It requires, for me, a high level of integrity, And I feel like if I'm not holding the highest level or imprint of integrity doing the work that I'm doing right now, especially with talking about time, bending time, and timelines, opting out of false time, all of that stuff, I have to call shenanigans on myself if I feel like I'm not in the highest integrity. And this is because of certain remembrances of resonances that I've had through being in mystery schools myself and having gone through 2 lifetimes at least that I can fully remember or put pieces together of, where I was a whistleblower. Meaning, I'll give you an example of being in an Egyptian priestesshood that I was involved in, where I knew that those who were the higher ups were completely out of integrity and they were victimizing people. They were misusing and abusing their power, and I was a whistleblower and I was persecuted and killed. Okay, so that's one memory. Another memory is working in Atlantis, where I was also, this is going to sound whack job to a lot of you, but whatever. I'm giving you examples from my own life, my own remembrances of my time in mystery schools. But I was working in 2 concurrent timelines in Lemuria and Atlantis, where I did a lot of work with, back then, timelines, sound, the alchemy of sound, and working with the DNA. And I was a whistleblower in that lifetime too, because it was towards the decline of Atlantis. And I had already received the, let's just say, intel to start opting out of that civilization and spend more of my time in Lemuria, even though I could bilocate and be in 2 places at once, because we were a lot less dense back then and we had different cellular, let's just say, abilities with our bodies to be able to bilocate. So I knew that I had to opt out of that particular civilization, because the writing on the wall about that decline was already happening. And I was a whistleblower there, and I was basically cast out from the higher initiate squad. Let's just call it that. But I was like, that's fine with me, because I already know I'm calling shenanigans on you guys, and what you guys are doing are bullshit. And there was a lot of genetic experiments at that time of mutating different species and trying to conjoin them. It's just one of the things that made Atlantis fall. I was there at that time when the DNA is being manipulated like that. This is something that has come up for me very, very profoundly in this lifetime. And it makes me want to be in even more of integrity with what I do in this lifetime, because of that hangover of those memories from other lifetimes. Some of you who I'm talking to know exactly what I'm talking about, because you're having this happen for you as well. You're having experiences that may seem like dreams to you. They may seem like wild and crazy dreams, but what's actually happening is a deja vu of a past lifetime, where you have remembrances of a certain way of being. The true timeline, the true history is coming into your awareness now. 2020 is all about decoding a lot of the false machinery, especially false timelines, and it's about disclosure. 2020 and moving forward, especially through 2025, is all about disclosure. A lot of stuff coming up to the surface about our true and accurate historical timelines of humanity and what really went down. So, like I said, I'm speaking to a very specific group of people here. This talk is not for everybody, but some of you are going to be like, oh my God, because you're going through this too. You're feeling this too. Because not only are we having disclosure happen on a global scale, but we are having personal, individual disclosures crop up into our awareness. Some of you will dismiss them as crazy dreams. Some of you will be like, there's something deeper going on there. I'm going to explore that more with my higher self. I'm going to meditate on that more. I'm going to work with a mentor who's going to help me figure this out. Okay? So what does this look like? Now that I've talked about all this, what does this really look like in terms of, okay, yes, Kathryn, I resonate with everything you're saying about being the higher initiate, but what does this look like for me now? What do I do next? And where am I hobbling my own spiritual advancement by saying, nope, not me, I'm not the higher initiate, okay? What does this look like? So if you are in this place of, okay, well, this is me, the higher initiate, and I know this is me, but I'm kind of in denial about it. What does it look like when you're in denial about it and you don't want to take your spiritual advancement any further? This kind of fear of, this irrational fear of knowing more, seeing more, because if you do that, you can't unsee it. You can't unknow it, right? So a lot of us, and hey, I've done it too. I've done it far longer than I wish to admit. It's kind of la 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 la, not me, not me, not me, not me. This is too big. This is not for me. And it's an irrational fear of, I don't want to know more. I don't want to see more. Because then I can't unknow it. Then I can't unsee it. And then I have to do something about it. We feel like that's a level of responsibility that takes us way beyond our comfort zone. And we're just like, nope. So I don't see it. I don't hear it. It doesn't exist for me. Denial ain't just a river in Egypt, people. Okay? So what else does it look like? Your third eye is blocked. You're like, you're denying the fact that you are this higher initiate, but at the same time you're saying, but I can't see out of my third eye, and I don't have a good connection with my higher self. My fourth eye is blocked. The universal eye is blocked. The third eye, where knowledge from the universe penetrates your brow and opens you up to greater levels of psychic perception. It's this psychic center that is pulsing, throbbing with knowledge and wisdom. But we voluntarily block it. There's nothing, and I'm going to say something here that will trigger some people. There is nothing that blocks your third eye other than you. Okay? It can be manipulated in some ways, especially if there are seals, frequency fences on the Earth's grid, which there are, and on your DNA. It can inhibit some of, let's just say, the more advanced psychic skills. But 98.9% of the time, our third eye, our fourth eye is blocked because we are blocking it, because there's something we don't want to see. Because there's something we experienced in another lifetime that was too painful. Someone was persecuted, someone was victimized, we were tortured, we were killed, whatever that was, we will block our third eye in this lifetime and our fourth eye. And the fourth eye and the third eye are in constant communication with each other. If you want to open up your fourth eye, and see if I'm totally full of BS, if this actually helps you to open your fourth eye, I'm more than happy to help you with that. I have an activation on YouTube that you can look up. So if you go to my channel, Kathryn Missel, on YouTube, and look up Activating the Fourth Eye, I'll put the link in here when I'm done as well. You can do that and feel like, hey, that was blocked. It's you blocking it, my dear friend. Okay. What else does this look like? Procrastinating on doing that course, reading that book, getting that advanced level of healing or release from something that is hobbling your spiritual growth because it's a physical human condition. Okay? Maybe you have a phobia, maybe you have a fear, maybe you have a chronic health problem. Maybe you have some trauma that you never dealt with in your personal life or in your family, and you keep dragging your feet on it, and you have the best intentions, like, oh, I'm gonna hire that coach, or I'm gonna take that course, I'm gonna get that healing, I'm gonna sign up for that Reiki session, I'm gonna do that soul retrieval, but you're just not doing it. Okay? Procrastinating on doing that course, procrastinating on your healing, procrastinating on doing that program that is going to help you, procrastinating on activating your DNA, getting rid of those frequency fences and those seals on the Earth's grid and on your DNA, which are inhibiting your spiritual advancement. Chakra work even. Some of you feel like, I'm not grounded. I don't feel secure. I don't feel safe in my body in this lifetime, but I refuse to commit to doing any root chakra work. Is this you? Okay? Where are you denying the fact that you are a higher initiate and denying yourself that next level of spiritual advancement by not doing this stuff? Okay? Anywhere you're afraid to stretch your knowledge. to enhance your knowledge base. Maybe you're resting on the laurels of, I know what I know. I know what I know about spirituality, and that's that. So when you get stuck in that level of being a slave to your own belief system, even when you think that, I believe in aliens, and I believe in the higher self and many higher selves, and I believe in entities and beings and archangels and all that stuff, that's great. But how long have you been thinking about it in the exact same way for a really long period of time? That's called stagnation. And when we don't challenge our own beliefs, even as spiritually advanced as we may think we are, we're making a level of judgment on our own level of judgment, which is pretty finite. And so we need to be able to stretch our knowledge, challenge ourselves, challenge our own belief systems. Even if we think that what we already know is pretty advanced for what most people are doing, hey, we're not most people. And if you're the higher initiate, you are not most people. So you have to challenge yourself and stretch your knowledge base even more than most people. Because you are here to lead a wave of ascension, not to be a follower. You are here to lead the wave of ascension. Put your hand out to others, extend it out and say, hey, come with me. This is what I already found out, and it's really cool. Let me show you. So if we're not challenging our own belief systems, our own attitudes, our own opinions about what we think we already know, which is probably pretty vast, and it is, it's not enough. It's not enough. That's not the higher initiate. I know that this is hard for some of you to hear, but I'm the higher initiate, if you haven't gotten that from me. I'm here to wake people up, and I'm here to challenge people, and I'm not here to regurgitate the status quo. That's not me. And that's really never been me. And so this is going to be challenging to some of you. It's meant to be. It's meant to be. If you feel too challenged and triggered, hey, keep scrolling. But this is for those of you who feel like, but I'm at this kind of crossroads. I feel like everything what you're saying, Kathryn, I'm resonating with, and I just want to know what to do next. This call is for those people, okay? Hi, Sarah. What else is going on? If you stop questioning the constructs that hold reality in place, if you just feel like you don't question money or the financial system, it's a great example. Maybe you're already starting to question organized religion, politics, the medical establishment. But I'm talking about even deeper constructs, mechanisms that hold reality in place, like time, which is my jam and what I talk about, time and timelines, transcending time, bending time, jumping time, collapsing time, opting out of false time. That's all I want to talk about right now, because I feel like we are at a crux of really questioning the constructs that hold reality in place and saying, hey, what if this was different? What if my relationship with this construct changed? Or what if I manipulated what this construct means for me? We are at this place. We are living in sci-fi. I say it all the time. We are living in sci-fi now. Sci-fi has come to life now. Okay? So what you used to think was impossible, not doable, such a fixed or rigid construct, something that held reality in place, all of that is up for debate now. All of that is, rearing its head, showing itself so that we can question it. Yes. Hi, Tammy Lip. So when we stop questioning constructs that hold reality in place, time, money, our human history timeline, the accuracy of our human history timeline, who says that the human history that we've all come to believe by reading about in textbooks and school books and those people who think that the Bible is actual history, it's more allegory than anything else and parable. But undeniably, there's a lot of people who think the Bible is actual history and that the earth is about 10,000 years old. It's when we stop questioning these things that are holding these constructs that are holding reality in place. When we stop questioning those, we are no longer assuming the role of the higher initiate. We not only have to be actively questioning them, but we have to be like throwing different ideas at it and seeing if it still sticks within that paradigm, if it still sticks within that construct. Is that as that construct as fixed as we thought it was? Am I fixed in terms of the way I define myself or identify myself within that construct? Is that changeable, malleable? Hint, it's all changeable, it's all malleable, it's all alchemical, it's all elastic. Everything that you think of as a fixed part of your reality is all up for debate and can all be rearranged. And the role of the higher initiate is to not only start asking ourselves these questions, but encouraging others that are close to us to start asking these questions as well. And to start engaging in the, spiritual, maybe even intellectual discourse around why these things have been just adopted as so. And that definitely includes our historical human timeline, which is not accurate. There's a lot of holes in that story, sisters and brothers. So it's time to start questioning that. That is the role of the higher initiate, to be here to lead humanity forward in our evolution of our mind, the construct of mind, which we also think is rather fixed. It's not. How else does this look? You stop calling in your next level of initiation because it feels too big for you. You think you'll have to take on more responsibility for yourself or for others. It's for someone else who's smarter, wiser, more spiritually advanced, more grounded, more healed, has more money, has more time, has more knowledge, blah, 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 blah. You're passing the buck. You're not willing to wear the mantle because you think it's not for you, it's too big for you, whatever reason that you've given yourself is exactly and entirely that. A reason, aka excuse, that you've given yourself not to go to this next level of advancement. You think like, I'm not connected enough to my higher self, or I don't know how to do that. These are convenient excuses. And if you find yourself really dragging your feet because you're doing any of these things, but you feel called to something bigger at the same time, this is your place of reckoning. This is your place of really calling in all these parts and pieces that I'm talking about, turning them over, examining them, excavating these things from your subconscious where you feel like, I've been suppressing this. I've been suppressing this knowledge about who I truly am. I know I'm bigger than this. I know that I've been here on this planet many, many times. I've had many, many lifetimes of leading others or being led by others where I felt like things were out of integrity. I was persecuted. I was tortured. I was victimized. But you're here now. And there are many of you who just can't deny anymore that you feel like you were either chosen, selected, to be here for a reason, to be a higher initiate and take humanity forward, however that looks for you. Whatever individualized thread of consciousness that you are, there's an energetic signature of you that can only do what you are here to do. Do you understand that? That's power. And that really is you embracing this idea, no longer denying yourself this, and saying, this is me. I chose this, or I was selected for a reason. And this all feels bigger than me. It feels bigger than my issues. It feels bigger than my challenges. It feels bigger than, the woe is me part of being a human. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than me. So what do you do? Now what do you do? I read a really interesting quote that I thought was hilarious. And so I'll share it with you. Initiations, especially those that are aligned for someone who feels in resonance with the identity of the higher initiate, initiations are like cats. And they only come when you stop calling them or asking them to show up. So a lot of you who feel like, you know, maybe you resonate with, hey, 85% of what I said here, maybe 100% of what I said here. And you're like, okay, great. All I've been doing, Kathryn, is asking for this next level of initiation, this next step, this next station of consciousness on my trajectory of, you know, my personal ascension process, but to also be able to take, you know, some people with me on this progression. And all I've been doing is asking for it, asking for it, asking for it. Stop asking for it. And here's what I invite you to do instead. Okay? From an ego perspective, you're asking for the next level. That's why it's not coming. So I'm inviting you to deepen your connection with Spirit. Your pure soul essence, your higher self. Meditate. And some of you are like, oh God, I don't want to meditate. Meditate. Communicate often with your higher self. Simply be of service. Being in the role of the higher initiate is the same thing as saying being of service. So sometimes we need to step into the role of being of service. Don't get hung up on what that is. It's helping an elderly woman bag her groceries at the supermarket. It's going and being part of a food drive. It's going and donating clothes to Goodwill and maybe hanging out for a half hour to help them organize the stockroom because they got a lot of deliveries that day. Maybe it is going and volunteering at your local women's center. Maybe there's a women's shelter that you can help out at. Maybe you have a children's hospital where, you know, people get together once a month and they bring balloons or gifts or something for the kids. Service looks like anything that you want it to if it feels like you are giving of yourself to something greater than yourself. I shouldn't have to explain that more. Being of service is directly in alignment with being the higher initiate. So if you're resonating with everything that I'm saying, sometimes we need to step into that role of the service so that we can align with everything that comes with being a higher initiate, okay? That's how most of us are called into our next level, because we're already stepping into service. We're already stepping into more of, and I'm not saying give of yourself to the point of self-deprecation, of self-depletion. That outdated paradigm has to do with a lot of religious indoctrination and wrath of God type stuff that is a dying paradigm and has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that kind of begging bowl syndrome that many of us who have been healers in other lifetimes before have had and have had contracts with. And I know many of you because I've helped you clear them in DNA activation and restructuring. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking of giving of yourself to the point where you feel your cup is filled up. That's the new paradigm of giving and being of service. Not to the point of self-deprecation or self-depletion, but to the point of where you feel your cup is being filled as well. And sometimes that's how most of us are called into or become aware of the next level. When we get that blocked energy healed as well. So whatever you're holding off on, procrastinating on in terms of healing, I need to book that soul retrieval. I need to book that Reiki appointment. I need to get into that program. I need to work with this mentor. Whatever that is, you know what your blocked energy is. There's too many people playing the victim game. If you are a higher initiate, you are not one of them. So you know what that blocked energy is. Get it healed. Get it cleared. Release it. Fill up your cup even more. Okay? Make room for that cup to fill up and runneth over, right? Get that blocked energy healed. Get it moving. Challenge your current beliefs. Even if you feel like your beliefs are very advanced, even if you feel like your beliefs are, way more advanced than what most people are thinking. Again, if you identify with the resonance of being a higher initiate, you are not most people. You're called to something bigger than you, something bigger than most people. So that means challenging your current beliefs. That means stretching your knowledge base. Read that book, take that program that you find provocative right now. We're like, ooh, God, that could really, really help me. That could really take me into my next level or stage of awakening, okay? Know that your struggles have not been in vain. Many of you who feel like you've been struggling and suffering for a really long time, those of you who are really resonating with the higher initiate energy, what you're feeling now is this kind of disentangling. And it feels like, for some of you, it feels like a walnut shell. If you've ever seen a walnut shell, it's pretty thick. And it's kind of like ropey and thick. And that's how it feels, like this shell of holding the energy of many, many lifetimes that's been holding an identity, a definition of self in place. Many of you feel like that's cracking open, or like an egg that's cracking open, revealing a more advanced level of perception and a different vantage of perspective that feels higher. It feels more evolved, more informed, more enlightened. Many of you who are resonating with the higher initiate spirit feel this kind of falling away of this shell, or cracking the egg of your perception. And you feel this kind of disentangling. Yes, you've been going through a massive deconstruction, a massive spiritual deconstruction. But it's going to start to feel like more of a breaking through and a breaking out rather than a breaking down. Some of you are already starting to feel that lighten up for you. So know that your struggles have not been in vain. And if you feel like you chose to be here, or you were selected to be here to help wake humanity up, or that you were selected, that's not an illusion. That it's not your ego telling yourself that. There's a bigger part of you, the higher self part of you, the pure soul essence part of you is telling you that. Your ego would never tell you that. Not really. I mean, only in a way where you're holding energy that would be out of integrity would your ego be telling you that. Because it makes you better or smarter or more spiritually advanced than someone else. That's how you know it's the ego telling you that. But if you just have this feeling like, no, I was chosen. I was chosen. I was selected. Because of all the stuff that I went through and all the knowledge and wisdom that I accrued before, I was selected to come back here and remember this and help other people remember it too. That's not ego telling you that. Okay? So know that your struggles and your suffering has not been in vain if you're feeling that and you just feel like, now that I know this, and I know it's my higher self telling me this, I feel empowered. I feel strong. I feel like, man, I could move some mountains, because that's what you're here to do. That's why you feel that way, okay? There is so much aligned with the higher initiate that also means being aligned with your divine warrior. It's a warrior spirit to be the higher initiate. Meaning, I have this feeling that I am bigger, and my identity of self is bigger than my problems, my challenges, my issues that I face from being human. What I'm here to do is bigger than all of that. My spiritual assignment is bigger than all of that. My role as the higher initiate is bigger than all of that. Okay? I'm here to really be the divine warrior and help people part the veil of all this illusion, all this simulation and way of being that is part of false machinery to keep us asleep, to keep us feeling like there's always something bigger than us ready to push us back down. That is the old paradigm. That is the illusion. That is not something that is aligned with the belief system of the higher initiate or the divine warrior. So shift into more of your divine warrior mode. Just go into that mode. It's already aligned with being the higher initiate. Go into service, like I mentioned, something that feels like you're being of service to others, something that is greater than you, okay? Because it's like already stepping into that resonance. It's stepping into that frequency. The only way we do that here in 3D is to take action on that in the physical reality of our everyday lives. So step into something that puts you in the divine warrior mode, into that resonance. Step into something that puts you into divine service mode, into that frequency. Okay? And then watch what aligns with you. So those of you who feel like you've been doing nothing but calling in this higher initiation, all you're doing is calling it in, calling it in, calling it in. You're not taking physical action by occupying that vibration, that frequency that's aligned with the higher initiate. So what puts you in your divine warrior mode? Anything that makes you feel empowered or strong. Maybe you're really good at something. Go do it. Maybe you're really good at writing. Just write a random journal or blog post, something you feel really impassioned about, really, empowered about, that you feel like you've got a lot of wisdom to share about. Write it down. Read it back to yourself. Share it with those who are closest to you and highly support you on your road to spiritual advancement. Let them lift you up. Go into that divine warrior mode. That divine warrior mode is anywhere you feel empowered, anywhere you feel strong, anywhere you feel like I am in my zone. I am in my zone of genius, is aligning with your divine warrior mode. And if you can mix that up with also being of divine service to others, hey, you're already way ahead of the game. And you're already saying to pure source consciousness, I am the higher initiate. I am acting as if it is so. Does this make sense? Okay? A lot of us are really overthinking this, and we feel so much struggle with the chaos and the confusion of all of this. The reason I wanted to make this call is so I could break it down, so you guys can get this, okay? Step into something that makes you feel empowered, strong, dedicated. Sometimes we have to step into these energies that are aligned with all the leadership that comes with being the higher initiate, so that we can first, be in this vibration, occupy the frequency, and really feel it before we can get that full clarion call of what we're here to do, of what gift we're meant to bestow, what is meant to be the deeper, more impactful action that we're here to take. So I really hope this has helped you guys, because I know that there are many who are still struggling with this and trying to figure this out. And in my commitment and dedication to be of service and to be the higher initiate and to be a divine warrior of the light. I'm divine warrior of the light, absolutely. In order to be in integrity with all of that, that's why I create calls like this for you guys, so that number one, you can realize you're not alone, and that there's something that can be done. There's something that can be done. The last 2 days were beyond unbearable. Yes, it's tough, and we've had very, very intense Schumann resonance fluctuations, which is stretching us out of our body a little bit, because it's a lot of frequency fluctuations for the body to take on in its density. It just feels like, and I always use this analogy, taking the energy of Niagara Falls and trying to shove it into a shot glass. That's just the norm. It's just the norm. So finding ways to, accommodate this by doing more grounding, or, following some of the advice that I'm sharing with you here will help you to feel more grounded in your body. But it is about taking action. It's not just sitting there and, biting our fingernails and waiting for it to pass. Because if that's where you're at, you're going to be there for a long time. We have to take action that is bigger than these energies feel. And sometimes that means taking bold action and really moving out past your comfort zone. But those of us who are really called to the higher initiate, It's about occupying that divine warrior energy so that you can do that. So, love and peace to all of you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.